I usually put a lot of
Yourself in it, yeah,
Yourself in it.
it's like cooking, right?
yeah.
People can cook, but if you cook with love, you
Right.
can taste it, yeah.
It was just something on the news this morning where this woman who was never cooked before decided she was going to start a business cooking because she was bored with her whatever it was. It's sort of like a retirement thing. And her comment was, you know, this is what her husband said, oh, you know, if you want something else, do what you love to do.
Yeah, that's it.
I love to cook, so I'm going to start with,
Yeah.
well, she has like 13 cookbooks out and
Really,
all kinds
that's
of-
amazing, yeah, isn't that something?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really something.
Yeah, in your heart.
My mother said she couldn't boil water when she started, but she became a very good cook.
Perfect segue, guys. Would any of you, when you leave, be able to hang a couple of these around the village or the Lyall lunch posters for tomorrow?
Yeah, I don't have my glasses on.
I didn't bring any tape, but,
I'll give you tape.
oh, okay.
I'll give you tape, I'll give you everything. We just need to get these around town. I did the
Is
last
it
email
okay
this
to
morning.
like go into Dover too?
Absolutely, 100% going to
Yeah,
go.
right.
People are coming from.
Because
They're all
CBS now has the Spanish market right next to it. And there's a lot of people that could use something like that. Yeah.
Love it.
Can I tell you, I'll sign up for the Creedles thing? I want to talk to you about it. I want you to know who's bringing lunch. Hope they're ready.
Nobody's told me even if they're coming yet.
No, really?
We're coming.
What's this?
Everybody got to tell me.
Come on, that's why I'm here.
But do you really need to know how many are coming or approximately how many
So,
are coming?
Actually, since Tom's cooking, we want to know just how early to get there to start prepping.
Oh, that's separate. We were talking about the Creedles wine party.
Oh, that's coming up too.
Yeah, and nobody.
Everything's coming up.
Everything.
We have a
Nobody
lot more.
responded.
I'm responding, but I don't know what I'm cooking. I wanted to see what I'm cooking.
By the way, I'm sorry.
Well, it's a tasting, so you don't have to make like a pot of stew. It's,
Like hors d'oeuvres, you're saying? Like
Well,
people
no,
that
no,
are
like-
carrying wines before the
Mhm.
meeting, so.
Right.
so we're not gonna have a lot of big dishes, but
Like cheese.
cheeses, fruits,
Crackers.
pâtés.
Hey, Helen.
Gotcha.
Days, yeah.
Yeah, they're hoping for a lot of people, because then Joe is gonna make oysters and what else? Something
Yeah, I
else.
have to ask you, do you like oysters?
Yes.
Why don't you know?
I got the wrong ones. I do. I
Huh?
don't know.
Are you coming? I'm sorry,
Oh,
Ruth.
the whole
Look at what it says.
Oh, what? I didn't see it. What is
I
it?
don't know.
It's 13
2 weeks. It's here to test.
Okay,
The
but there's
stairs and my
Yeah,
heel
what's
is
on?
on.
Or,
4 o'clock.
yeah, you gotta come, it'll be fun.
And where do they live?
Well,
Over
are you
here.
coming?
I'd like to come in.
Okay. Because I'm giving out the address as people say they're coming, because it's really important with this one, because it's not here,
Yeah.
for them to know about how many people to expect.
Right.
I don't know their address in my head, they're on Burbank Road, but I'm gonna write down, you're coming, you're coming, you're coming.
Helen, you come?
The wine tasting?
Yeah, wine tasting. On, read from something.
How you doing?
I don't know, it'll be dark after that. I
Yeah,
don't
that's
ride after
the problem.
dark.
Well, we'll
I
pick
can
you up.
pick you
Well,
up.
I'll pick you up. I'll pick you up, Karen.
Will you pick me up? Who's
course.
gonna pick me up?
I just said I'll pick you up.
Okay.
Depends on how much wine I'm going to drink.
How big is
Yeah,
your
but-
car?
Well, I'll take the, Tahoe. I can
Karen, you
take
eat
60.
oysters?
Yes, I haven't had oysters since, I don't know when, but yeah.
Is
Joe-
he gonna
Joe
bring them
puts-
from the
Joe-
Carolinas?
Huh?
Yes, so they'll bring the oysters from the
I
Carolinas.
don't know where he brings
No,
them from, but he
he's
puts
not.
them on,
He gets
he
them
puts
at
them on,
They get them at Adams, they're not bringing them in from North Carolina.
Do you wanna know what we're bringing? I'll bring something with shrimp. I don't know what, I'll do something with shrimp.
oh, that's a good idea.
go with the oysters, I can't eat the oysters.
He puts them on his barbecue.
Oh, they're cooked?
Yeah,
You always
he steams them.
You won't eat oysters.
He takes a big hunk of burlap, puts it in water, throws them on top of it, and he cooks them.
You want me to put that down?
Not sure.
Let me know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be really fun.
If they're cooked, so we could say yes to those bottom eye oysters.
Well, if they were all, I'll eat yours.
I was gonna say the same thing. Just say yes, and we'll take care of it.
Everybody say yes to oysters, that's all. I don't know, do you want me to bring my cheese spread, or do we need something for meal? I'm not sure what.
It's a pairing with wine.
Yeah, so
So-
it's.
I mean, some of it, you know.
Finger food or
Yeah.
appetizer.
Why don't you make it ahead of time, and I'll
She's gonna bring it on.
make sure it gets there.
Okay.
I'll make sure some of it
A
gets.
cheese spread and crackers of some kind or something like that.
Do you eat oysters?
Oh, yes. Lot, will I leave alone?
Oh,
Do you think Lenny, I'm gonna put yes up a little bit too.
Well,
And
yes,
if you
and
feel
then
like
we'll
it.
find out.
Right, okay. Tom, I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry, that's my fault, I started this. Now on to Ruth.
I'll take it. Now on to
great.
Ruth. Does she like this?
They're yours, not mine. Never mind. Yeah, we have conversations all day long, don't we? Okay, you want to get started?
Yeah.
Should we try it? Yeah, okay. Does anybody know anything about Ruth, the book?
No.
Mary Jane, what do you know?
Ruth? Let's see, her two sons married two women. Her husband died, and then the sons died, and the women were left alone. And that's not good in those days, because women alone didn't do well. So they were traveling, and Ruth said, you can, not Ruth, Naomi was the mother. And she sent the two daughters back to their mothers, but one daughter-in-law went, and the other one stayed. And they went, found to be a rich man that was going to take their scraps. And eventually, didn't she marry?
She did?
Yeah.
And then what?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't mean, I was just saying, yeah, that sounds like the whole story.
No.
No, but that's not the whole story.
I want to know why a woman, actually, there's very few women gospels in the Bible.
Well, you don't need very many women to make big change.
That's right.
There's some truth. And here comes Ruth herself, the Moabitess. Hey, Ruth. All right, now I feel better. Did you lock the door, Ruth?
Looking for Boaz. Boaz.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, well, I mean, spoiler alert, Boaz and Ruth gave birth to the grandfather of King David. We don't have a story if this doesn't happen. The Bible ends here if this doesn't happen.
very important.
I would say it's pretty important.
Ah.
Yeah. So, all right, a couple things. I mean, this is a tiny little book, four chapters, that's all you get. But it is like a lot of things in our lives. You have moments in your lives that were fairly short in duration that made all the difference. Like you wouldn't even be the same person if that didn't happen. Yeah? Have you had a few of them over the years? We call them turning points, right? Turning points. Like my story is not the same after that, let's say. Right? Would have gone over here, that direction, if this hadn't happened. Well, the whole Bible is like that with this. If this story didn't happen, the Bible would stop here, right here. It would not go forward. If this story didn't happen. So it's a, what would you call a story like that? It's a, I want to say a linchpin. That's not really.
No,
What's a
You
better
had a turning point.
turning point or what? What was it?
Epiphany.
Watershed, epiphany, go, okay, now we're at it, yeah, okay. Anybody else have a description? I mean, just think about your own life, what was it? It was a transformation, it was a... So another,
Awakening.
awakening, good one, yeah, that's a great one, yeah.
I think
Yeah,
every woman could say having that first baby
Is
is an awakening. Your whole life is never, ever.
Or not being able to have
Or not,
not
that's
being
true,
able.
and that's another.
and barrenness is huge in the
Yes.
Bible, huge issue in the Bible, barrenness.
Uh-huh.
What does God do with barrenness? Yeah, that's a big one. Yeah, good one, Susan. Are you ready for one again in your life?
Do you have to be
Well,
ready?
Ruth, well, you may not be, well, Ruth walked in here and says, I'm looking for Boaz. So that would suggest to me that she might be ready for.
I'm always ready.
You're always ready for Boaz? Well, shame on you for saying that. See, we've been at it 5 minutes, it's already, we're lost cause.
Do you think we're ever really ready for big things that happen that really we can't control?
It's a good,
Sometimes there are things that just happen, I guess.
well, sure,
Are we ready?
it's a good question.
I don't think so.
What is it then, and I'm not contradicting that,
No.
because sometimes people will get to a moment, and the moment is too big for them in their minds, right? In their minds, it's too big for them, and so they don't do it. You don't go. For whatever reason. I mean, people have tons of reasons, and a lot of them are good reasons too. I mean, Abraham and Sarah are at the fountains, right? And Ur of the Chaldees was the place where you got to be if you're retired. In his day and age, no way are you going to leave that. I mean, even the slaves in Egypt, right? They're out, a week, and they're ready, they want to go back to Egypt. The moment is, in other words, the moment is too big for a person or a group even. So they don't do it, they don't go. And then, okay, you'll never have, whatever that was.
You don't get that chance?
You don't get that chance. Whatever that was, and the stories that you would have had, and the experiences you would have had, you won't have any of them. The people you would have met, nope, no. So there's that too, right? There's that too. What makes a person say yes?
Courage.
Courage. What else? Because we're going to see it in Ruth. What makes a person say yes to a moment? Here's a moment. The other daughter-in-law goes home, right? We're going to find that out. So in other words, she doesn't have. She said no, and so that whole story she misses, and the significance of it. She misses the whole thing.
Fear. I guess fear.
Fear,
Empathy?
empathy. What about curiosity?
Oh, yeah.
Right? You gotta be kind of curious, right? Or, I mean, this is a story, there are many layers to this book, of course, but one of them is faith. Faith and love, for sure, for sure. But we throw that word around all the time. What is it? What is faith? What is it? It's a little slippery once you can say it, that's easy to say, but what is it?
Could be a driving force.
Driving force, okay, great. Karen, you're breathing.
I don't know, that's a tough one.
I know, but it's so common, right? I mean, here we are in a Christian church, and we talk about faith all the time, but what is it?
Belief, a strong belief.
Strong belief, okay.
Comfort,
Who said that?
comfort.
Comfort. Okay, Susan. Hope.
Well,
Is it guts? Is it courage? There's a bunch of maybe antecedents with that word that, yeah, have faith in God. What does that mean? What do you mean, have faith in God? It's slippery. You can say it. It's easy to say, but it's a little tricky, don't you think? Have faith in God.
That's where I go for comfort, even though there are times I question. But that's always my fallback for comfort and peace
Comfort,
and love
okay.
is my faith.
So, does that resonate with you, Susan? You said that too, right?
Yes, absolutely.
That resonates with
Same
you.
thing.
So
Same
faith is that someone is near in your corner.
Yeah, place to go.
Yeah, it's one of those words where it's a noun and a verb. It can be used as a noun and a verb. So that's a noun, right? A nounal form. Sorry about that. A verb is movement. And the book of Ruth has both of those in it. Yeah, she has faith in God for comfort, and it moves her. Literally moves her. And it's one of the reasons why the book of Ruth has been compared so often with the story of Abraham and Sarah. She's the female version of Abraham. Isn't that interesting? Okay, and it's obvious, I mean, when you start to look at it. A couple of other things, a little more technical maybe, is that the Bible often either argues with itself or contradicts itself. It goes back and forth. Yes, it is. No, it's not. Yes, it is. Like with the law, for instance. 10 Commandments, the laws in Leviticus and all that. Law. You know, if you do the right thing, keep your nose clean, God will bless you. That's the idea, right? If you don't keep your nose clean, you're in trouble. Is that basic understanding of, yeah. So that's one understanding in the Bible. Do the right thing, you'll be rewarded. Do the wrong thing, you'll be punished. Right? Everybody have that sense in the Bible. It's all over the place. And then you've got Jesus on the other hand, and others too, and like St. Paul, who say, well, that's fine, except it doesn't work. Doesn't work. And so as a counterbalance to that argument would be Jesus, the person of Jesus. It would be the person and theology of St. Paul, who say, that's great, so, and also Job. The book of Job challenges that because he did everything right and everything wrong imaginable happened to him. So you see what I mean? So there's this conversation, a lot of people want to see the Bible as kind of a monolithic kind of a book where it's all the same all the way through, all the way, see, all the way through. And it's not. It's not. There's conversations going on often, back and forth, about law and grace, law and a life well lived, law and punishment, and redemption, and all that. Back and forth. Does it with men and women as well. There's arguments back and forth. Men are the ones that should be the head of the house and be the pillars of the community, and blah, blah, blah. We'll meet you at the gate, and that kind of language. And then you get a book like Ruth. Back and forth. And that's why one of the things I think is a signal of a healthy church is if we can do that too. Back and forth. And the book of Ruth also is about foreigners. She's a Moabitess, right? And she lives north. She's from north of Israel and Judah, the people of God. She's not Hebrew. She's not Jewish. She's an outsider I mean, we've got that going on like crazy in our country, right? Who's in, who's out, back and forth, back and forth. We hate them, we need them. They're horrible people, they're better than we are. I mean, you hear that conversation almost every day here, you know, right? With who's in, who's out. If you're white, you're definitely in. If you're from Scandinavia, you are most definitely in. If you're from the Netherlands, you're God's people. Okay? If you're not Dutch, you're not much. I told you that, right? That's a very common bumper sticker where I come from. If you're not Dutch, you're not much. Well, and there's truth in it, of course. But anyway, so these big conversations back and forth. And at the time of Ruth, just before the time of Ruth, we've got leaders in Israel saying stuff like this. Men do not marry foreign wives because they will pollute us.
That's
It's in-
really way back then, huh?
Yeah, right? I mean, nothing's new, right? Nothing's new. That's in Deuteronomy. It's in Deuteronomy. It comes before this book, right? So there's the statement, right? They're going to pollute us. We won't have the same faith. They're going to ruin our religion. They're going to be syncretistic. I love that word. I haven't used that for 40 years. Yeah, syncretism, right? You take your own crappy culture and you put it in with a pristine, beautiful faith, and you're just going to ruin it, right? Americans, we don't do that, do we?
No.
With our faith. We don't do that. Our faith is pure because our culture also is so pure. You know, give me a break. Please. But people talk like that in the United States. They talk like that. We are American Christians. The whole idea of Christian nationalism. Have you heard that term? Christian nationalism, that's what it is. Our country and our faith are one.
It's an unchristian
Well,
nationalism.
it's horrible. I mean, it's the worst thing you
That's
could
what
possibly...
it really is.
You know who else really worked on that one too? Had the same thing going on? Our culture, our society, and our faith are one. Guess who did that? Yep, Nazis.
I think there's a lot of them.
Yeah. So yeah,
They didn't go away.
no, and they're never going to go away. They won't go away because you know you can talk all you want about loving your country, and you better, I think. And loving your faith, but they're not the same thing. You would hope there's some parallel and integrity between the two, but they're not the same. They're never going to be the same. The kingdom of God is way bigger than any country. That's what Jesus represented. He was not an American. He was Canadian. You know. Yeah, he represents the kingdom of God, which overarches all nations. Right? We have a hard time with that, and one of the reasons we have a hard time with that here is because we can kill a lot of people. We have nuclear arms. We're powerful. We can exert power over others. That's one of the reasons why we can say we're the best, and we have the best culture, and we have the best religion. And we can back it up with guns. That's my theory. It's all about power, money and power. But here's the thing, you know, in Deuteronomy, so they're waxing like this. This is 3,000 years old, by the way. A little bit more than that. So they're in Deuteronomy. They're saying, okay, don't mess with foreign wives. You're not going to have foreign wives because they're going to pollute our faith, our pure faith that we know, our wonderful country, our nation that we love. Sounds all familiar, right? Well, they're totally bankrupt during that period of time. They're bankrupt. They have no integrity. Their faith is a sham. There's nothing going on that's worthy of praise. It's ridiculous when they said that, and that is a signal. If somebody is waxing eloquent about how great anything is, whatever it is, you can bet, it may be true, but if you had a bet to make, it's probably poverty. They're speaking out of poverty. No, not a sense of a wealthy culture or a wealthy person. I mean, wealth in a larger sense, you know. And that's what was going on in Deuteronomy. And so here comes Ruth, who will teach them how to be a person of faith. The outsider will teach them, the religious, the culture, how to be human and how to be faithful. Comes from the outsider. I mean, if that's not, and it's in a whole, I love this book, you know. That is a brave thing to put into a holy book, I think. The whole story of Ruth. Because you want to hold up your own people. But this book, and the New Testament too, and other places in the Old Testament, it's the outsider that teaches the insiders, not the other way around. Strange, I find, in a holy book. And the Bible will do it over and over and over and over. And you can think about the book of Job, like it just explodes the whole idea of you get what's coming to you. No, you don't. Here's Job, right? I mean, what kind of holy book would do that? You see what I mean? You want to hold up the party line all the time. That's what most holy books or important books would do. You want to hold up the party line, and the Bible doesn't care about the party line. It wants to tell the truth as best it can, and the book of Ruth is just like that. You don't have it all together. Your sense of exclusion is perverse, and we've got somebody for you, and her name is Ruth. She'll teach you everything you need to know about your own faith. It's staggering to me. I've been at this a long time, and I still look at this book and it's like, what? We read the Bible, but the Bible reads us. It just does. It just does. And it's good to read the Bible. I'm not against that. But you better hang on to your hat. Okay, anybody got any questions or comments about that?
Jesus was not accepted in his own place.
Right. And I guess, yeah. Well, you want to say a little bit more?
Well,
No. You're bringing shrimp. We're coming home with the shrimp. Yeah, he's so counter. He's kind of in it, but he's not of it. You know, we were talking about that this morning, Alice, too. Mm-hmm. He's in it, but he's not of it. Mm-hmm. And she's going to be like that, too. She's in it, but she's not of it. And there's lots of figures in the Bible like that. I mean, here we are. Anybody Jewish today? We're all outsiders. All of us are outsiders. Right? None of us can claim, you know, I'm Jewish. I'm part of the Abrahamic covenant. None of us can claim that. We're all adopted. We're all adopted. It's profound. And then, if you want to take another little step back, like that, right? Sit on my porch with me and smoke cigars. We can ask the question, where's God in all this? I mean, that's a great story, right? Where's God in all this? What's God up to mess with all this stuff? What's God up to with the advent of Jesus? What is God up to with Ruth? What is God up to? What you would think, again, it would be kind of a singular story, you know? Do right, you get rewarded. Do wrong, you get punished. But God is all the way through the Bible up to something else, weird, something strange. Don't you think? I find it odd. What are you up to? Really? What are you up to? The people that Jesus embraces? Like, what are you up to? That's odd. I find it odd. Don't you? Ruth?
We'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I just find it terribly, terribly odd. Okay, so you want to give it a shot? We'll take a look at it? How about if someone would read chapter 1? Did everyone find it? It took me forever to find it. 1 through 5. Want to try that? We'll get the setting. Thank you.
After I get my cataracts done, I'll be reading. Right now,
How do you
it's
say that name? Elimelech?
Abimelech, yeah.
Elimelech's family was
Sure.
Moab. In the days when the judges ruled, there was a famine in the land, and a certain man of Bethlehem in Judea went to live in the country of Moab, he and his wife and 2 sons. The name of the man was Elimelech,
Just say it with authority, we'll all love it.
and the name of his wife Naomi. And the names of his 2 sons were Mahlon and Chilion.
Sure.
They were afraid. Say that.
Ephrathites.
Ephrathites from Bethlehem in Judea. They went into the country of Moab and remained there. But Elimelech, the husband of Naomi, died, and she was left with her 2 sons. These took Moabite wives. The name of the one was Orpha. Why did I do this? And the name of the other was Ruth. When they had lived there about 10 years, both Mahlon and Chilion also died, so that the woman was left without her 2 sons and her husband.
Okay, all right. So can someone kind of sum it up, what's going on here?
She was alone with her 2 sons and her husband.
She's
They
over.
were immigrants.
They were immigrants too. Good point, great point.
Went to Moab
Right.
because they left because of famine.
Right, in the days of the judges, there was famine. You're telling me there was famine, not just with food. There's famine in the land. Did you hear it? Right, it's a little bit of a cut at the judges. There was famine in the land, you bet there was. There was no food and there was nothing here either. The Bible's famous for those little cuts. Okay, so she is going through terrible grief, right? Lost her husband, lost her 2 sons. She's with 2 daughters-in-law, both of them Moab, right? So what are the chances? What are their chances right now? Horrible. It's horrible. You know.
Like Gaza.
Like Gaza, yeah. And like Beirut now, too, Lebanon, right? What are your chances? You're swept from the field. You're just swept from the field. You will not survive this. You won't.
Because you're a woman?
You're a woman, yeah. None of them have husbands. if one of them had a husband, maybe they could, you know, kind of piece something out as far as survival. I'm talking about survival. They're gonna die in Moab. You're finished. It's as dire a situation as you could possibly imagine. And she's not anywhere near her family. She's in Moab, you know, she's in Moab with these two daughters-in-law. She can't get back home. She's up a creek without, they all are. I mean, the daughters-in-law, you know, we'll find out they've got a little chance. But she's done. She's gonna die in Moab. It's not gonna happen. It's just finished. Right? And so is, you know, I just kind of want to keeping this aperture open. So is this book. If this book is to continue, something has to happen. Or we're not sitting here. We won't be here if this doesn't get sorted. Okay? This is your story. It's my story. It's our story. You know, the heat is on. Otherwise, we're not going to be here. I'm going to run Parsons of Whitehall department store. Not that that's a bad thing.
Okay.
Right? You see what I mean? You see these moments that turn. It's also true not just of our own lives, but of other people's decisions too. That will impact us tremendously depending on what happens to them and what they decide or not decide will determine also in some part, maybe a large part, who we are. Is that interesting? And it's true for us too. When we make decisions, it's going to affect us, to be sure, our own lives, but it's going to affect somebody else too. Yeah, we're not alone. We're not alone. We do not live our lives alone. We just don't. So people we don't even know are counting on us. They don't know us, right? They don't know us. But our lives are profoundly changed because of what happens right here. Is that interesting? So our lives matter. We matter. Maybe more than we know. All right. We got that? So that's the situation. Bad. How about 6 through, do you think we can do 6 through 14 maybe? Can somebody pull that off?
Then she started to return with her daughters-in-law from the country of Moab. For she had heard in the country of Moab that the Lord had considered his people and had given them food. So she set out from the place where she had been living, she and her 2 daughters-in-law, and they went on their way to go back to the land of Judah. But Naomi said to her 2 daughters-in-law, "Go back, each of you, to your mother's house. May the Lord deal kindly with you as you have dealt with the dead and with me. The Lord grant you that you might find security, each of you, in the house of your husband." Then she kissed them, and they wept aloud. They said to her, "No, we'll return with you back to your people." But Naomi said, "Turn back, my daughters. Why will you go with me? Do I still have sons in my womb that they may become your husband? Turn back, my daughters, go your way, for I am too old to have a husband. Even if I thought there was hope for me, even if I have a husband tonight and bear sons, would you then wait until they were grown? Would you then refrain from marrying? No, my daughters, it's been far better for me than for you, because the hand of the Lord has turned against me." Then they wept aloud again. Orpah kissed her mother-in-law, but Ruth clung to her.
Okay.
So she said, "See."
That's good. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, thanks. So what's the feeling here when you hear that?
They loved her.
You loved her.
She loved them.
And she loved them.
She loved them.
Yeah, there's a lot of love there.
Yeah.
We're gonna try to make it back home. I'm gonna try to make it back home. We don't know how that would go. With the desperation, you hear the desperation in it too? Even if maybe I could get pregnant and give sons and, it's crazy, right? Have you ever had crazy thoughts like that? I'm gonna fix it, and what you come up with is just crazy. To save these girls, to save these daughters-in-law, what's possible? What can we possibly do to fix this? It just breaks your heart. Absolutely breaks your heart. You know,
She
people
tells
like
them
that.
to go back to their mother, but if they were, you would wonder if they even knew where their mother was.
Yeah, or how's that gonna work,
Yeah.
right? Even if they find them, how's that gonna work? That's gonna be a real show, a real situation. Yeah, it's just horrendously bad situation. And they loved each other. You can hear it. The grief. Yeah, have you ever had a time in your life where you're just grabbing for anything to fix? Right? Just grabbing, even if it's crazy or not possible, or you grabbing for anything as a possible solution. Just the desperation. Yeah. Where did she come from, by the way? It was the first reading. Where did all this begin? The first sentence of...
The man of Bethlehem in Judea.
Oh, have you ever heard of Bethlehem before?
Yeah.
Here we go. She's from Bethlehem. Naomi's from Bethlehem. Well, there you go. And by the way, this story doesn't know about Jesus in Bethlehem. Right?
It's before.
It's way before. Way before. Yeah, over 1,000 years before when this was written. Okay, shall we take another little chunk, like 15 through 18?
So she said, "See, your sister-in-law has gone back to her people and to her gods. Return after her sister-in-law." But Ruth said, "Do not press me to leave you or to turn back from following you. Where you go, I will go. Where you lodge, I will lodge. Your people shall be my people, and your God my God. Where you die, I will die. There will I be buried. May the Lord do thus and so to me, and more as well, if even death parts from you." When Naomi saw that she was determined to go with her, she said no more to her.
Okay, thanks.
That's faith.
I was just going to say that. That's faith.
That's faith.
So can we break it down a little bit, just for fun? Open the hood of faith. There's a lot here, right? What is Ruth saying to her mother-in-law?
She won't leave it.
Is that faith? I'm not leaving, and I'm not leaving. Okay, so that's all right. So that's part of it. Okay, that's a facet of faith. I'm not going anywhere. What else does she say?
Even after death.
Even after death. Even after death, I'll be there. Is that faith? Right. Right. Even if you're gone, I'm still going to be yours. I'm going to be in your corner, no matter what, come life or death. That's faith. I mean, do you think maybe God feels that way about us too? Right? Right. I'm going to be with you. Jesus says it.
That's why he said.
Jesus says it. I'm going to be in your corner no matter what happens, whether you're alive or dead. I will be with you. Yeah. Faith. So in that sense, Jesus also has faith, right? God also has faith. It goes both ways. It goes both ways. So what else does Ruth say to Naomi that at this moment? What else?
Your God is my God.
Right. I'm coming over to your side. I'm coming over. So your worldview, how you worship, what you think God is, I'm going there. I'm going there. Is that faith? Yeah, it's really interesting, isn't it? She's a paragon of faith. I mean, we could break down what happens with Abraham too. I mean, I've talked about them being kind of parallel stories, but Abraham isn't as, he doesn't say as much, he just goes. With Ruth, you get the breakdown, right? So she'll break it down for Naomi and for us now. And what else is there? Are we missing anything? Your people will be my people. Isn't it interesting? Your people will be my people. She could say, gee, I hope they accept me. That's not what she's saying.
She's accepting them.
Exactly. The foreigner is accepting them. Isn't that interesting? It's a really interesting. I mean, if you're new to a country or new, you're not going to say, well, I accept you, right? It's always the other way around. We accept you. No, you say, I accept you guys. Interesting, right? It's a twist. It's a twist. And the Bible is conscious of this, by the way. It's not accidental. They're conscious of these things. They're messing with the judges, for instance, in Deuteronomy, who are saying, oh, don't even talk to these people because they're less than, blah, blah, blah. Oh, really? That's not where she's coming from. I accept you. So when you have new people that come into your life, or you're at the church, or whatever, I think my feeling is, welcome to us. And it may not be quite that, right? I might have that wrong. They could just as easily say, welcome to my world. It's a shift, but it's pretty big, don't you think? It's interesting. This is an old story too, and they're messing with it, right? The writers are messing with our heads a little bit. Who's accepting whom here? And that'll go on too. The rest of the story will have that as a quality. Who's accepting whom? Really, what's going on here? Right? Do I have that wrong? Does that sound about right? Yeah, who's accepting whom, really? Yeah, I've had a little experience of that last few months. Okay, so Orpah, I think that's her name, right? Orpah, she goes home, right? She goes home, that's expected. She may not have a husband, but maybe her family will take care of her. So she does it. And she's not seen as less than either, right? I mean, she's not criticized in this story for doing that, because that's a possibility for her. So the Bible, the story, does not hate her for not doing it. Do you see what I mean? It's okay. It's okay. But you're going to miss out on the story. You'll have your own story, for sure. And I'm sure she did. But she's going to miss out on this big story. Okay? Now, why don't we, I can't believe we're actually gonna finish the first chapter in an hour, but we are. Doesn't like me. How about 19 through 22, I think it was, 22.
So the two of them went on until they came to Bethlehem. When they came to Bethlehem, the whole town was stirred because of them. And the woman said, "Is this Naomi?" She said to them, "Call me no longer Naomi, call me Mara, for the Almighty has dealt bitterly with me. I went away full, but the Lord has brought me back empty. Why call me Naomi, when the Lord has dealt harshly with me, and the Almighty has brought calamity upon me?" So Naomi returned together with Ruth the Moabite, her daughter-in-law, who came back with her from the country of Moab. They came to Bethlehem at the beginning of the barley harvest.
Okay, so they came back in fall. It's fall. Mhm. Have you ever wanted to change your name? Do you know anybody that's changed their name? Yeah. And the reason for it? The reason for the change?
Getting married mostly.
Get married, right? Yeah,
For the old timers, that changed, now it doesn't really
well, now,
matter.
if you're the groom, you can change your name
Yeah,
to
to
the
her
wife.
shirt.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Or hyphenate it and
Yeah.
have both
I
names.
just did a wedding where the groom wanted the bride's name. So legally,
Mhm.
yeah.
Or you don't really want to know, want people to know you by that name.
Right, so you have an
You
alias,
want you're a new person.
you're a new person. Name changes happen a lot in the Bible, a lot, right? When someone comes to a point in their lives where they do this, often, not always, but often, a name change will happen there to signify, I'm no longer that, I'm this, I'm going this way.
What would they do with pronouns? I mean, really.
Pronouns.
Pronouns.
We were talking about that last night,
Yeah.
or spiritual life. Yeah, pronouns,
Middle school.
right?
They do that in
Middle school, yeah, my granddaughter has a friend. It's a they or a them.
Right, we were messing with that in seminary. Well, how about shim? Him and she, shim.
So my granddaughter worked with a person who was they.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Really?
Mhm. That's what they do, what she called it.
yeah.
They
yeah.
said this or that, and I think you said,
A group, right?
no, that's a person, they.
Yeah, it's an individual, but it's, a they is a group, or more than one, right?
I guess.
Yeah, that's how we were raised.
Obviously.
Yeah, right, but I think behind that is the same issue, right? I'm no longer this, I'm this. Tattoos are like that too, for some people. You get a tattoo when there's been a big shift in your life. Yeah, it signifies a moment. For a lot of people, not every time, but often you'll see that. Now, what does Mara mean?
My Bible says it means bitter.
It does mean bitter.
Bitter.
Don't call me Naomi anymore. Call me bitter.
What did Naomi mean?
How did you know that?
My Bible says.
Yeah, it says.
Says that it means
That's a good question. What does Naomi mean? Does anybody know?
What was she before
I don't
she
know
became?
what that means.
No. Not in the footnote.
No, okay. Yeah, I like those little footnotes.
Oh, yeah, that is bitter.
Bitter. Call me bitter. Because why?
She's so much harshly with me.
Say it again, Ruth.
The Lord has dealt harshly with me.
Uh-huh. I went there full, now I'm coming up empty. I came to Moab full, but now I'm coming home empty. The rules do not apply, right? God has dealt really unfairly with me also, right? Because everybody knows if you keep your nose clean, you're going to be rewarded. If you don't keep your nose clean, you're going to be punished. But she's saying that doesn't apply to me. It's not true. And that's why I'm bitter, because not only have horrible things happened, but he's been horrible. Nothing's as it should be, right? We were talking about Mayberry RFD, remember, Alan?
Now,
I just want to make sure we're unlocked for the meeting, school's closed today.
Oh.
would she have gone back, Naomi, would she have gone back to Bethlehem to her husband's family?
I think
or
so.
her
Or
family?
tried to, definitely tried to, and they made it. I mean, see that.
Or would she have herself have family?
Either or,
Either one
I would say. We're going to talk about levirate marriages later on. Levirate marriages in the Middle East and still, I think, places around the world. If you have a woman whose husband dies, it really is incumbent upon the husband's brother
Yeah.
to take that woman and take her into your household. Otherwise, she's just, she's dead meat.
So is it a marriage, or is it just they
Take care of her.
take care of her, bring her into the family fold?
That's a good question. I think it's maybe either or both, depending on
Whether
the man. Depending on the man. Depending on the man.
Well, everything was probably dependent on the male
Well, let's hope so.
population there.
Ruth, did you want to say something?
I just looked up the meaning of Naomi, and it's pleasant or gentle. So she goes from pleasant, gentle to bitter.
Bitter. Do you know people like that who were really, solid and happy? They go through things and, it's like their whole demeanor changes. And, kind of dead inside. They're dead inside. Yeah, Ruth?
Do I know people like that? My mother was very unhappy in her marriage, and her name was Marion, but she would often say, "Call me Mara."
Really?
Really?
She would? Really?
I kid you not.
Wow.
He came from a very biblical family.
I guess so.
But yeah, I got
Whoa.
tears in my eyes with
Oh,
this whole story. It has so
Yeah.
much meaning,
yeah,
I mean, I was named for the biblical Ruth.
sure.
And,
Oh.
but my mother, Marion, called me Mara.
Wow, wow. I remember I was a lifeguard when I was a kid, I was 16, 17 years old. With Jim Harris, he was my boss, a teacher at high school, but he was my boss at the pool. Anyway, we taught swimming to Chicago kids, little kids, all the way from here, all the way up. And we had this junior high group, junior high kids, that was their hour for swim lessons. I'll never forget it. I was right next to them, and these kids are playing in the water, goofing around, and junior high kids. He said, next year, half of those kids will be dead. I said, what are you talking about? He said, their spirits will be dead by this time next year. And he had been there like 30 years, so he had seen it every year.
Why did you say that?
Things will happen to these kids
Oh.
in a year's time that will kill their spirits. Half of those kids will be dead. I'll never forget it.
Did it happen?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Yeah, I'll never forget that as long as I live. So bitter. So where's Ruth right now with all this going on?
Doesn't talk much about him.
No, it's not,
Yeah.
she's not emerging yet, right?
Right.
So that's the setup. That's the setup for the rest of the story.
And she would have been accepted in her mother-in-law's family also.
Right, I
guess,
think so.
Because
Mhm.
her husband was part of there,
Yeah.
doesn't, yeah.
Does everyone know Ray Raymond?
Uh-huh.
Ray?
I did.
They sit right over here. He's in Colorado now, teaching at the Air Force Academy. He taught at West Point as well. I remember, and has been, he and Kathy have been members here, for a long time. Anyway, he worked for the British consulate staff, British consulate in New York City. It was the first time I met him, was right after 9/11. Yeah, right after 9/11, he gave a speech in Hyde Park. I didn't know him. I didn't know he was here. When I came here, there was Ray. He didn't know me, but he gave a speech about where the United Kingdom was in relation to America after 9/11, and he quoted Ruth. He quoted, yeah. He ended his speech with that. It was incredible. He said, "That's where we're coming from. Your God will be our God. Your people will be my people. Where you go, I will go." He says, "That's where we're coming from." Huh? Is it a song? Anyway.
A song. Well, it's a sacred song, like wherever he goes, I'll go, or something, Yeah.
Okay.
There is. I can find it.
Anyway, this has been interesting, and thanks a lot for coming, and we'll try chapter 2 next week, shall we? And then we've got, just so you know, we have Lyall leftover lunch after this next week.
Oh, you do? No.
No, we don't. What is the matter with me?
Another thing, you're fine.
We used to do that.
We used to do Bible study on Tuesday, followed by Lyall lunch. Now Bible studies are Wednesdays.
Yes.
But we're still gonna have Lyall leftover lunch on Tuesday. Unless you all want to change
That's
that.
really good to know. Thanks. I've been screwing up. I mean, I'm 65 now. I've been screwing up dates and times like crazy. So my calendar's all marked up. No, that's not that Tuesday, it's this Wednesday, and it's gonna be a mess.
You can be a brilliant theologian, or you can handle your calendar.
You can't do right.
I got the calendar.
Alice, tell him what
I
he
have
has
to
to
figure out how to do
do.
this.
So we do it. We open up the calendar almost every day, and like, what day is it, Tom? Like, you see it on nursing home.
How does this week look?
Your nurse is, Margaret.
So what kind of soup are we having tomorrow? Is
Oh.
it tomorrow the first day?
I am cooking for Lyall lunch. I'm the first up, and we're having potato leek soup and smoked turkey on sourdough. Yeah, it's pretty good. I don't know, it's simple. Right.
Yeah, simple little.
And lardons,
that.
unsmoked bacon. That's why you can have smoked turkey. See the
We are
difference?
Well, what's for dessert?
I'll make sure.
You want to make I was thinking it says
Great,
you want
do
me to
that.
mix one and you or something.
I don't do
I don't do that tonight.
I got
I
copies.
always
That's 9 o'clock.
Yeah, no, I'll
And is everybody coming, is this just, we're just picking up where we left off, so we're doing the same thing?
Everybody's welcome.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll try to fill
What
it
time
time
are we at?
area. We'll get in here.
I'm gonna be here now.
We'll get the
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
It's not gonna take
I know the street.
I don't know.
Okay.
And then what's the street?
Inside.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
It says,
Good. I'm gonna give her credit here. I had one leak and oh, she's got the wild pumpkin out there.
Because it's a long,
Oh,
What'd you put it, was a long
my,
way.
yeah, but she's got, oh, my shorts. Yeah. I started something too far, too heavy. That's what I think. They delivered ours, so. I know, right?
You're back to study your namesake here, and it sounds like you already have a sampling of that. Well, that's yeah, but with your mother and Mara, that's really a coincidence.
Something that,
Sometimes such
Yeah.
strange things happen.